Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out this morning. I appreciate it. I know you'd rather be on the inside than outside. It is brutal outside. I have turned on the TV on the other side, just in case we don't have enough room in here. It's a joke. It's a joke. So, nobody ever wants to sit in the front. Why is that? I think I heard somebody say for a quick escape. Was that you? All right, then we will get started with Chaplain Chad opening up in a word of prayer and the pledge.
Thank you, Erilyn. Well, I would say the two best looking gentlemen on campus are on front, right? They agree. Will you please stand for the prayer and the pledge? Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Our gracious Lord and Heavenly Father, it is such a privilege to be here before you today. We thank you that we have the opportunity to meet together here inside when the cool air conditioning. We thank you for how pleasant it is and your blessing upon us, Lord. We give you praise. And we thank you, Lord, for Erilyn, for Ryan, for their leadership here on campus. Thank you, Lord, for the work that they do. Lord, we thank you for their commitment to us. And we know there's just many hours behind the scenes that we do not see, that they are working hard to make lives better for our residents, yes, and for our staff members as well. And so, Lord, we just ask you continue to bless them with strength as they move forward, Lord. And we thank you for this meeting today. Be with us and guide us. I think of that hymn. It's been in my heart all morning. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. And Lord, it's not just me, but you are faithful to us all. And we thank you and give you praise in your holy name. Amen. Will you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Hard to believe that it's August 8th already, right? Officially past the halfway point, but just insane how quickly time is going. I did want to give you an update on Willowbrook Court especially. I know that I've been mentioning for months on end that they were awaiting their annual survey. Well, 4 surveyors came in last week on Monday, and they stayed for approximately 3.5 days, going through absolutely everything. We do expect to have a citation. At what scope and severity? Right at this moment, it's unknown. One is phenomenal. They weren't able to find anything of concern by way of quality of care, anything else from the health perspective. What they did identify is that we had unpasteurized eggs in use at Willowbrook Court. Now, we can use unpasteurized eggs. The qualifier is that in the use of unpasteurized eggs, they have to be fully cooked. So how many of you have ever eaten an unpasteurized egg? How many of you plan on eating an unpasteurized egg? They taste delicious. I mean, straight from the farm. I'm going to see my dad in Pennsylvania, and I'm going to Amishtown and eating an unpasteurized egg. Lisa has chickens. She brings them to work. We eat unpasteurized eggs. Previously, in the guidelines, it was okay for our residents to eat unpasteurized eggs. They were even allowed to sign a waiver recognizing that there may be some health risks involved. In our case at Willowbrook Court, there was no harm, thankfully. There were no signs or symptoms of salmonella or any foodborne illnesses, thankfully. However, the surveyor that was conducting the survey really elevated it to a point where I think was unnecessary, but we're at their whim at this point. We don't know if they're gonna score it as, a D, E, or F, or score it as an immediate jeopardy, even though there was no harm. So they have 10 business days to get back to us, to let us know. But I wanted to be totally transparent to let you know that was the only thing that they found by way of the health survey, and that team should be commended for that. Tim's clapping. You can clap. Yeah, so that said, our formularies have been changed. We will no longer have unpasteurized eggs available, not just here, but at any other ACTS community, so that we don't have that exposure moving forward. And I know that you could recognize during the height of the pandemic, it was hard to find almost everything. And the belief is that that's why they were on our formulary in the beginning, just so that we had eggs to make, some of the staples that we eat here on campus. So here we are. We're hoping that the surveyors, the district office will find grace given the outcomes, but we'll yet to see what the outcome is. So, we do have the life safety component of the annual survey in the building today. Typically, that does not take 3.5 days. They should be in and out at some point today. They'll be reviewing the CEMP, which is the emergency plan for the county, making sure that the team is fully versed on what needs to happen in the case of an emergency. They'll look at all of our emergency systems to make sure that they're operating appropriately. They'll go through our emergency supply for hurricane or tornado needs, and they'll make sure that we have followed all of the guidelines for disaster preparedness. I have no doubt that they'll be fine in that area as well. So I did want to give you just a little snippet of what's been going on in their world at Willowbrook Court. As far as Oak Bridge Terrace does not have an annual survey, they have a biannual survey. And their biannual survey will happen before the end of this year as well. Their last survey was unremarkable, no major findings, so we expect more of the same this year. Our director of assisted living, she's been helping out down at one of our sister communities in Boca. We have a great DAL. She's had previous experience in standalone skilled nursing facilities, for profit, everything from a nurse on the floor all the way up to the director of nursing. So she was able to step in and help them in their time of need, but we do need her back. And we will be asking for her back in short order so that we can prepare for our upcoming survey. So I felt this necessary to bring up again. We're only through the fourth storm of 2023 out of 21. But I'm sure most of you have heard between last night and today, the East Coast has had some really difficult weather over the past 24 hours or so. So I did want to remind you, we did not have a great response with returning some of the questionnaires, which surprises me. That really does help us plan for what may come of the hurricane season. So it's extremely important that you get those forms returned to the concierge. If you haven't done it yet, please make sure that you get those forms back in. Diane, She has a bunch of forms available if you're one of those that have not completed it and returned it, so that you can fill it out and get it back to us. Wanted to take a moment to talk about some of the capital items that we've purchased recently. I will not review the entire 5-year CapEx plan. It's enormous. But I did want to talk about some of the things that we're planning on doing in the immediate future. As I stand here right now, I know there was a lot of anxiety surrounding transportation. We were blessed to see a brand-new van show up on campus on July 28th last week. And we have a brand-new van. Pat is extremely excited about driving that brand-new van. So you will see it around campus. It's a transport van. It has a ramp, of course, for those residents that will need to access the ramp to get from point A to point B here on campus and to local visits. It still does need to be wrapped. It's plain and white at this point. It doesn't have any of our logos or anything on it, so we thought it most important to make sure that we had it here, and we'll schedule for it to be wrapped at a later date. As far as the roof projects go, things that we will be working on in the coming month or so, it's August already. We have already done everything that we needed to do by way of choosing a vendor, the purchase orders, everything that needs to be done to get the vendor to replace, not repair, but replace the roofs for I building and F building. So that will happen in September. Originally, the vendor wanted to come out in November, and that was just not acceptable to anyone. So he's made some adjustments, made some calls, and they should have all of the supplies that are needed and able to start the project in September. When I get the exact date, I'll be sure to share it with everyone. We will be starting the renovation for A and B corridors over on the east side of this campus. That project will begin on Monday of next week, starting with removal of the popcorn in the ceilings. If you are here visiting from East, it's important for you to know that you have to have all of your personal effects removed by Saturday of this week. All of your personal pictures, anything that may be on your doors, any furniture that belongs to you, it's important that you remove those items and either store them in your apartment or inside of your locked cage. If things are left, by the time we get here, we will have a couple of people here on Sunday and Monday, of course. If there are things left, then we will just assume that you would like to donate them to New to You. Okay? Okay. I know I see some people here from East, but none from AB built. Oh, there you are, there you are. So I don't know if you have anything out, but, okay. So an official notice will go out, just as a reminder. We'll do a reverse code red as well, so that all the residents that don't watch Channel 95 have an opportunity to remove those things and not lose anything that they want to keep. So the order is we're going to start with third, second, and then first, if you're wondering. More details will be outlined in the memo that will go out, but I wanted you to be aware that we will be starting that project. I know it was a long time coming, but time is here.
What's the time frame on that project?
Soon. Well, because we're managing the project internally, and we have a lot of control over the timing of the vendors, it should go fairly quickly. So we met with the vendors last week to come up with the workflow plan. And if everything remains the same, you know, no machinery breaks down, nobody gets sick, we should be done with it. It should be done fairly quickly. I don't want to give you a date and then it comes and passes, and then you play this recording and say, well, you told me. November 4th is the Walk to Remember Worthy Cause that we support throughout the campus. And they're having this walk at the Riverside Park, which is beautiful. I'm sure most of you have visited at some point or another here, right here in Vero Beach. The walk starts at 9 a.m. And we will be having raffles to support this cause leading up to the event. We'll have a lot of different things here on campus to raise funds. But I did want to encourage all of you that are available to attend the walk. Last year, we had a select few of residents that attended the walk along with a few team members. It wasn't the volume that we were normally used to seeing prior to COVID, so I'm hoping that we can get back to the level of support that we're used to. As a matter of fact, Enrique's wife is a director over at the local Alzheimer chapter, so we do want to support it because it is such a worthy cause. So if you can, please plan to attend. I just wanted to say this, the only reason why I'm not attending this day is because we made plans for a last family vacation to go to Minnesota right before it got too cold to visit our daughter. And we're gonna have a blended family to celebrate Thanksgiving early, and then I will be back here to celebrate Thanksgiving with all of you, my second family, later on in the month. But leading up to it, I'll support all of the raffles and events that happen here on campus. And more to come. Lisa, along with Fitness, Robin and Fitness, and Therese and Wendy, again, they'll give you more information about the events that will be held here on campus. We have a newcomer by the name of Yvette Young. She is the Medicare Intake Coordinator. She'll be working closely with the Medicare Home Health team, and Tina Katzer. Yvette has been a scheduler for many years in the medical field. She's been in the medical field over 10 years. She's worked in home health scheduling for a number of different surgery settings, such as neurosurgery, vascular surgery, and urology. And most recently, she worked at Ambulatory Surgery Center, scheduling surgeries for several physicians. She's married with 2 kids. Her son is an Eagle Scout and plays baseball in high school. Her daughter is a Girl Scout and loves to play tennis. Unfortunately, she's not here, but I did want to show you her picture so that you can put a face with a name. One of the things that I didn't mention, which is really important, Alexis, and most of you in the room know Alexis. Her father passed away unexpectedly. We got word this morning, and it's very sad because she came off an extreme high yesterday and witnessing her granddaughter receiving the ACTS scholarship for the Southeast region for $5,000. So to hear that this morning, it was just heartbreaking. So if you are praying people, and I know you are, please pray for her and her family during this difficult time. But I did want to share that with you so that you're aware. She'll be out probably for the remainder of the week, if not more time, but just please continue to pray for her and her family. And with that, I will turn it over to Ryan for the department updates.
Thank you, Erilyn. Good morning, everyone. So starting with updates in building services, here at West, building services has been fully staffed for at least the past month. But over at East, we've had a lot of attrition over there. Retirements, transitions, Steve Rayshak moving from East Building Services, getting promoted into Willowbrook Court. as well as some other attrition. So we do have one new hire going through the onboarding process as I speak. And then we had the return of Carl Jennings, and Carl Jennings, he's our maintenance at Oak Bridge Terrace, and we're super excited to have him back. He was on leave for several months because he is our resident expert when it comes to generators. So he does the weekly testing on the generators and everything like that, make sure that the oil pressure is appropriate, checks the fuel, make sure it's topped off, everything like that. So he's always maintaining those. So we're very happy, particularly at this time of year, to have him back. Particularly here at West, I did want to touch on the carport at parking lot 12. Everyone in this room, I'm sure, is well aware of what happened over there. With that being said, we did already have a contractor come and look at it, and we have an architect coming out on Wednesday to look at that so that we can get it repaired, mainly as a second opinion, but that way we can get it repaired promptly. So I apologize about the inconvenience because I know we've displaced several resident parking spots as a result, but we will get it repaired.
We don't know. Some of us don't know what happened, except that we had to put our cars out.
Sure. So part of the roof structure, as a result of some sort of leak, I guess a roof leak, part of the roof structure lost its structural integrity. So because it was bowing, it was not safe to have cars parked underneath there in case it gives way. So there was about 6 areas under that carport. Some of water was leaking through, others were just sagging. But as a result, that's why on Friday we moved the cars out of the way, or requested that you all move your cars and everything, just to be on the safe side proactively. Great question. Yeah, if you were inconvenienced by this, if you had an assigned parking space, and were inconvenienced by it because your parking space is currently not available, please visit the business office and speak to them about credits. Yeah, well, okay, so we'll be issuing a credit automatically for the parking.
We can't hear you back here.
So sorry. Thanks, Al. So basically, go ahead, Jeff.
It's a little more than a leak.
Yeah.
There are like 2 or 3 lakes up on top of that parking structure.
Yeah,
They're there about 9 months out of the year. So there's, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of gallons of water just sitting there for 9 months at a time. That's why the integrity is bad.
Okay. Well, sorry, Jeff, but basically, that's why the architect is coming down here to see like if it needs to be repaired, rebuilt, whatever the case may be. But a contractor did cut several exploratory holes to look into that, and looked at the truss system and everything like that. And that they advised that we acted properly and cautioning off the area until it can be further assessed. So that's why the architect is coming on Wednesday. And going back to departmental updates, for culinary, as Erilyn already mentioned, Tati, Alexis's granddaughter, did receive a scholarship from ACTS, a high school senior college scholarship. And she was the one winner out of our 5 communities for the Southeast region. So very excited to have her win that. And it was a perfect time. We had a Vero Beach High School pep rally event through culinary over at East yesterday afternoon. And Tati recently graduated from Vero Beach High. So as an alum there, it was great to be praised. They had the band, the football team, cheerleaders, all congratulating her for winning that. Culinary wanted to remind everyone that fresh fruit is available through dinner services daily. At East, there was an internal promotion. They had a sanitation worker named Cammie who's been with us for right around a year now. And over the last couple months, she's been shadowing the culinary team, like cooks and everything in the back. And basically, she was promoted from within after successfully shadowing for the last couple of months. So she does preparatory items like cutting deli meats for the bistro over there, cold prep, and then preparation to help out the line and lead cook for the restaurant over there. So we're very excited that Cami was promoted. In regards to the new reservation system, the e-app, trainings are ongoing in the dining area, and the QR code is live, which gives you access to the app through your mobile devices. The cutoff date for the transition from the old reservation system to the new is the end of this month on the 31st. So we will be only taking reservations through the e-app effective September 1. So just wanted to let you know, and Tim and Jeff over at East are setting up those trainings and will continue to do so to get as many residents trained as possible. So if you want to attend one of those, it looks like the next one over here at West is on the 10th, which is Thursday at 2 p.m. here in the NPR. So if you need reservation training, that'll be here. As far as other updates for events from West, obviously birthday night is tonight. So that'll be in the lobby beginning at 5 p.m. They have a burger pop-up over here on Wednesday the 16th. The menu will be posted this week, and they'll be taking those reservations, so look for the sign-up sheet for that. And then the Walk and Bowl theme night, Asian theme night at the Grove 54 will be on the 30th. And then Tim wanted me to let the group know that menu revisions for Grove 54 and for brown bags will take effect on the 14th, so next Monday. And then also, very exciting, it's surprising to say this in 2023, but we just got credit card readers at both the cafe and at East at the Bistro. So, most people are on meal plans, but with that being said, if you want to pay for a guest or if you're having a secondary meal, something that you don't want a meal credit applied, then you can swipe or tap or use your chip at a credit card reader, and it accepts both credit and debit cards. It's particularly helpful for me now that the ATMs are gone. Now I have a way to eat on campus. So I'm excited about that. And then Tim wanted to let everyone know that the food forum for here at West is at 11 a.m. on the 31st, on the last day of the month here in the NPR. So attend that if you'd like. For security and transportation, Erilyn already touched on the brand new passenger van, the wheelchair van that we just received last week. With that being said, transportation has 2 drivers that are flying up to Pensacola at the end of this week, and then they will be driving a bus back that has been donated to the community. The bus sat at Azalea Trace, our sister community in Pensacola, for about a year, so it's been at the Ford dealership for several weeks, getting preventative maintenance, getting the fluids flushed, getting the brakes done and everything like that. But the van has like less than 4,000 miles on it, so it's a brand new van that they weren't utilizing. Bus that will be coming to the community. As far as a landscaping update, mulching was recently completed, and then a little less than a month ago, we started maintaining the new citrus blossom villas as far as landscaping. So they're through there. They're usually there on Thursdays, right? Yeah. So you'll see them around doing that. In regards to physical plant, which is Jeff Arnold and team, I don't think Jeff's in the room. He assured me he would be, but I want to congratulate him and his team anyway, because behind the scenes for the last few months, him and other members of the building services team, as well as contractors, electricians in particular, have been getting our Philips red alert system placed on backup generators. So those of you in previous storm events that have known that we do the door cracked policy, and we've had hall monitors, if you will, everyone on floors and stuff during an event, that was because, when power was lost, then we didn't have the Philips red alert system active, but now they will be up during those events where power loss is experienced. Aside from that, we have a new lake management company, Aquagenics. They're scheduled to come out and begin remediation to the littorals and manage the lakes later this month. They're going to be trimming back the amount. We created an internal standard working with them of 3 feet out by 3 feet high. So they'll be remediating all 5 lakes so that the littorals will be trimmed back significantly so that it doesn't affect the ecosystems, but so that it's also not an eyesore for you all as residents. So we'll be taking that on very soon too. And then building services and physical plant wanted me to let y'all know that they have a kayak rack that they are currently in the works of building that'll be at the boat launch behind H building. So you'll see that soon, and no longer will you have to call landscaping to move your kayaks to and from the water. It'll be a lockable system, so that way the kayaks can be loaded down from right down there on the launch. So, and then lastly, for life engagement, which is Wendy and Therese, we did want to let you know that Volunteers Matter, which is a new program through ACTS, just in recording your volunteerism that was through the portal. The rollout's been postponed till September. The trainings internally here at the campus that have been ongoing will continue, so please sign up for those. But corporate was going to come here for a big rollout of it this month, but budgets are the priority in August. So they pushed it back till September, but we still plan on going live with that very important program. And then for fitness, we're very excited about a new fitness class, Aqua Stretch, which is on Wednesdays at 1:30 p.m. in the iPool. Those of you that know Lindsay, she recently had her aquatic certification, received it, which allowed us to expand our horizons by way of programming. So this is a wonderful class to improve your mobility and reduce arthritis pain. We recommend wearing a hat, obviously, and applying sunscreen because it's a 30-minute class in the water. So, you know, please heed that, but it would be wonderful to get you out there, and who doesn't have arthritis pain, right? So thank you for that. So scam alert. So a lot of you are aware of this one, but we did want to discuss that, you know, the most recent and prevalent scam that we've been made aware of is unauthorized COVID tests for you. Most times you receive an explanation of benefits from Medicare. You look to see if you owe money, but it's important that you look at the detail of the charges, because what recently has been happening is scammers have figured out how to send you COVID tests, bill Medicare, but Medicare doesn't 100% cover the charge. They cover like $96, and then everything above and beyond that, you know, is billed to you. So you not only will be issued a medical bill that's not rightfully so, but also, you know, it's fraud for Medicare. So if you ever see that on an explanation of benefits, your Medicare statement or whatever, please call Medicare. They're well aware of the scam, and they'll remove those things, and then they'll ask you for some details as to what, you know, what did the package say, you know, what company was it, et cetera, so that they can gather those details to pursue them, you know, legally. And then also, you know, return to sender. Anytime you receive those, don't open the packaging or anything. If it wasn't something you ordered, don't open it. So that's an important one, and you should always review your explanation of benefits anyway to see what was billed and check for accuracy. All right, August 2023, you aced it champions. So I'll start at the top left with the couple, Tina and Steve Rashak. They are a beautiful couple. They've been together for a long time, but we'll start with Tina, who is our environmental services supervisor for the entire campus. Her office is situated over at East, but she serves the entire campus. A resident wrote, "She is the best supervisor. She works alongside her staff in the early AM with trash and cleanup. No job is too big or small for her to handle." And I can attest to that, because occasionally when I get up, when the roosters rise, then I come in and she'll be on the stand-up ride-along carpet shampooing equipment, and she'll be meandering through the lobby and assisting the common area cleaning team in sprucing up the lobby. So she's always a helping hand, and anytime we're short-staffed, she's always in there working alongside her team. So she definitely deserves that praise. And then she got a second recommendation, which was Tina is never too busy to listen to and act upon a resident's request or concern. She is an excellent organizer and is quick to respond when a need arises. So that's excellent to hear. And then Steve Rashak, who, is recently was promoted into Willowbrook Court Maintenance. He received 2 commendations, and the first one says, thank you for always helping us with lift assists. So this is from the East Wellness Office, the nurses over there. So occasionally residents, have fallen and they can't get up. Some of you have been in this position, and sometimes, it's not safe for one person to try to lift you up, even though they're fully strong and capable. We need multiple people to do that, and he's always willing to help. And then it says, your smile and kindness always makes the residents feel better. And then segueing into a second, you aced it, very pleasant and knowledgeable. He works hard to solve problems. So yes, he does. And he's a welcomed addition to the Willowbrook Court team as he does the preventative maintenance over there and the checks for all the life safety, the cooling towers, the boiler system, and then obviously the backup generators as well. Jumping into Ryan Brohammer. Ryan Brohammer is a member of our culinary team at East, and he's been with us for quite a bit now. As you can see, this is a pubescent photo. We'd like to get an updated one. This is probably 5 years old now. But Ryan recently transitioned. He's been in several roles over at East, but he was a prep cook in the kitchen, and he begged Jeff Tyler to place him back in front of the house because he missed seeing all the residents' smiling faces and engaging with the residents in the dining room and the bistro. So he definitely is awarding and a valuable member of our team. So it says, Ryan did us such a big favor. He was able to seat 2 additional people at our birthday table. Thank you, Ryan, for always being a total professional and accommodating. Accommodating is the key. I mean, that's if you had to describe him in one word, he definitely wants to say yes as much as possible. So that's amazing to have him there. And then on the top right, you have Isaiah, and most people in this room know Isaiah, although he works out at East. When he was in a previous role in environmental services, he was campus-wide, helping out over here at West. He was a wonderful floor tech, always shampooing carpets, and then he helped out several residents and continues to do so with any and all things that they ask him for. He received a couple of UA-STITs, and the first one says, completing a list of things needing service. Good work. He was efficient and cheerful. So to touch on that list of things, I kind of chuckle, but we can touch on the importance of the work order system. A lot of residents, because of ease of use, love to put one work order in, and then in the comments field, put in about 12 items that need addressing throughout their apartment. And while that's efficient, we appreciate one-off single work orders so that it helps our tracking purposes, because it helps us identify recurring themes or concerns, and then helps us build our capital expenditure list based upon that. So please try to do that when possible. But that resident was mentioning how they gave a laundry list to Isaiah, and he probably went in there at 9 a.m. and then left and shortly after lunch after completing the entire list. But he's a huge help, and he does it with passion, and he's just a very patient guy and very lovable, and we're so happy to have him as part of our team. His second, you aced it, was, we are so lucky to have Isaiah working here. Amen. He fixes things. He's polite and comes as soon as he can to solve your problems. Isaiah helps keep things running smoothly. He is not only a great employee, he is a wonderful person. That resident couldn't have said it better. That's the perfect description of him. So bottom left, as we already talked about Lindsay a little bit this morning, Lindsay Halliday with fitness, and she was recognized as going over and above, giving help with exercises to strengthen hips. She is always cheerful and willing to help. So very true. Lindsay's a valuable member of our fitness team. And then second from the left on the bottom side, that not so smiling face is John Scrappitz. He's been with our building services team at East for a very long time. And this you aced it says, I had a serious flood in my kitchen and hallway. John came to the rescue with a wonderful attitude. He was very polite and respectful. He determined my disposal was the culprit. He cheerfully mopped up the water. Are you taking notes, Kitty? Yeah, he's available for mopping services. And installed the new disposal. It took a few hours, and his work requires a very special thank you. So kudos to him. And then followed by Mike Bashong, our Director of Building Services at East, Justin's counterpart. And it says, Mike solved my water heater problem on the weekend. Thank you for diagnosing the problem that others missed. It is so good to be back to normal. So, you know, those of you probably don't know this, but Justin and Mike, anytime their maintenance on-call guy calls them over the weekend, there's a lot of times when stuff is just outside of the norm of the expertise or the wheelhouse of that person on call. So they call their immediate supervisor, Mike or Justin, and usually at a moment's notice, they're on campus fixing things like water heaters and everything like this. And then I can attest to both these gentlemen because I'm usually on the reporting or in the communications that they do come in, and it's very appreciative and supportive for the other MODs that are here that aren't technically sound, if you will. And then last on this page, on the slide, is Larry with transportation. He's hidden underneath that ball cap in his photo. And Larry, he has a very special one, and this came from another team member, but it says that a resident fell in front of the building. Larry sat on the ground with the resident while the resident leaned on him, cradled in his arms for support until emergency services arrived. Such dedication and devotion to his job and the residents at IRE. And I think several of you that use transportation can attest to that. Larry's super personable, always in a great spirit, and always willing to help. And this is just an example of just how caring and an exemplary example of loving kindness. So thank you, Larry. All right, now it's time for any questions. So we'll be getting mics out. If you'll just stand by and wait for a mic since we are recording, so that way we can get your question followed by our answer recorded.
May we have an explanation of the alarm that went off in the middle of the night last night in the I building?
Yeah, so our alarm monitoring company, First Fire, is currently on campus working on it. Basically, it appears to be a failed circuit board at first glance, but they're here permanently diagnosing it and then getting parts replaced as necessary. We apologize that it went off so many times, but every time they tried to reset it, it would not reset as a part of the failed board suspected.
Hey, I've got a couple of questions,
Who's speaking? Oh,
and I've got a mic.
okay.
All right, the first test has to do with the H carport. I'm sure you don't know and won't know until the architect gets here how long it's going to take to fix it and what's going to be needed. In the meantime, though, could we ask contractors who are working in the H building not to be parking any place in parking lot 12? Residents who are displaced may need to park where they're parking their vehicles.
That has been communicated, and we'll continue to communicate it.
Okay, because I called the
more-
office a
more
couple of
forth-
times today regarding a couple of different contractors.
Okay, if you have, one second.
Go ahead.
If you have any concerns, can you just call Diane immediately, and then we will address those contractors to move their vehicles?
Okay. The second has to do with the training for the reservation system. Is there any chance for those of us who can't come to the session that you could put something on Channel 95?
Yeah, I'm sure we can record the training sessions. Right now, repetition's kind of, the feedback we've received is repetition is key. It's pretty intuitive, but that's why we've been hosting several trainings. But absolutely, Bernie, we should
Okay.
be able to record one of those sessions.
And my last question has to do with the kayak dock or kayak rack you're talking about. When the concept originally came up a number of years ago, the idea was that ACTS was going to be purchasing a number of sit-on-top kayaks that residents could use. And after that, what it turned into was a place where residents who brought kayaks with them and had no place to put them could park them. They would be locked. No one else would have access. And most importantly, many of them were not appropriate for older residents to use. Is there any thought to getting kayaks that we could use if we wanted to?
No, I've not given any thought to it at all. This is the first that I'm hearing of it.
Okay, I know it was surfaced when Ken originally had the whole thing built. If you could consider it, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the need is, but maybe we can put a notice out to residents, see what the need is from our
Thank you.
residents, then we can explore it.
I have two things. First of all, I would like to know, how do you pasteurize an egg?
I have an answer to that.
Good, tell me.
You roll it out into a pasture.
That's good. And,
So-
and the other thing I was wondering, I'm assuming that those of us who don't have the computers and the fancy phones and so forth will still be able to call in for a dinner reservation?
Yes. Yes, you will be able to. So we do have an iPad in the lobby that's already set up, ready to go. Everything's there, so that'll be part of the training. I can show you how to use it. So if you're able to use it, that's ideal. But we're always going to work with anyone that needs assistance to make sure that they have a reservation if they need one.
So those of us that live in H have to walk down to the label
No,
or
not
to the lobby?
necessarily. Not always. I mean, ideally, you would use the iPad, but again, like I said, we're going to take care of everyone and make sure that everyone has a reservation that needs a reservation.
Thank you.
And to pasteurize an egg, you could do what Erilyn suggested, or you heat the egg to 138 degrees. And that doesn't cook it, but it pasteurizes it. So in order to cook it or scramble an egg, it's higher than 138 degrees, so that is pasteurized. And then they're safer to eat if you eat them over easy or anything like that. Most eggs in the grocery store are not pasteurized. If you buy them in a carton, like egg whites or something, they are. But you have to really look closely if you do want to have pasteurized eggs. We do have them here, and we'll continue to have them.
When you talked about doing the roofs, you did not include the villas.
That's because we don't have a commencement date, but we spoke after the last meeting. We're just waiting for the permitting on that. So that's why I didn't mention it. I mentioned the most imminent project.
Is this in '25, or will it be this year?
No, it'll be this year. I just don't want to give you a date, and I don't have one yet, but it will surely be this year. I should know more within a week or so.
Yeah, it's gone, as Erilyn touched on, it's gone out for permitting. So we have to get permits back from the county before we can have a commencement date, and then we'll have a timeline as to when that's gone. But the company, we've already approved materials, they've already procured them. It's now just a waiting game for permitting. So there's several stages of permitting, and there's a permit for the overall project, but there's demo permit, construction permit, et cetera. So we're waiting for the county to get the permits back to the contractor for the contractor to commit a commencement date to us.
I also have two questions. One is, when do you anticipate the motion detector?
Does she have a mic? Can you speak into the mic?
When do you anticipate the motion detector system to be active? And secondly, can you please tell us what the current occupancy rate is?
Yeah, percentage-wise occupancy is around 91% for campus. And as far as the K4 check-in system, which is what you're referring to, the motion sensor, the check-in system, the wellness check-in system to replace the red button in your apartments. So we are actively still doing installations, but we are near completion of that. We had to update firmware on some of the devices that were previously installed into residences because they sat for a while and there was a technology update. But we are aiming for the end of this month. We actually touched base with our corporate IT yesterday on the matter, end of this month, next month, for a go live. But really right now, we are encouraging signups. So we had great participation with the red button. And right now, we only have 300 something odd residences, which is about, roughly a third of the residents here at Indian River Estates, and we would like an increased participation before we go live, because ultimately when we go live with the K4 passive check-in system that uses the occupancy sensor, eventually we will cut off the red button system and we'll no longer be monitoring that. So it's important for us to have a good amount of participation. Theoretically, everyone that was signed up for the red check-in system should sign up for this. So that way, we can actively check on your wellness and make sure you're out and about every day.
Last thing I want to add about that is if you have not opted into the K4 check-in system, please make sure that you obtain that form from either Alexis, the concierge on either side of the campus. They have copies available for you to fill out.
I'd like to ask whether the last two villas that were empty, whether they have been purchased or whether anybody's going to move into them soon.
So, actually, we had someone on campus this weekend that showed interest in 15. There's been no unit selection contract signed yet, but we're hopeful that we'll move forward with 15 with this interested party, and then 16 is still available, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I heard Ryan mention the fruit at the meals, but I didn't hear everything you said. Would you please clarify?
Sure.
Is there going to be fruit at every meal, including dinner again?
Specifically, the notation that came from culinary is that fresh fruit will be available at dinner every day.
And the other meals?
Yeah, nothing changed.
Yeah,
Yeah, you should have some.
Tim?
Yeah, there was a little change actually over at East, and it was just clarifying that. So we've made no changes here at West to the plan of having fresh fruit available.
So at East, they're on the same plan?
Yes.
Yep, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Hi, Chuck.
I just wanted to give people an update on the Medicare fraud I talked about at the last Resident Association meeting. I have found an agency that is very interested in it, called the FBI in Fort Pierce, and they referred me to the agency that's not part of the Medicare system, which people were not getting any results out of, but it sounds like it's part of a different system through the FBI. So what I'm going to try and do is work with Erilyn and try and get as many people that still have documentation, even those that don't, so that we can send one group of letters in to the agency. I think it'll have greater impact. As some of you know, I tried a bunch of other people who were uninterested, but this particular agency through the FBI really has quite a bit of interest, and evidently does a lot in the area of not only Medicare, but medical fraud. So we'll be back, and I just thought I wanted to let people know that we do have an agency, and my understanding from Carolyn, who was with the hospitality committee, is that they've got a number of people in the East who have had the same thing. And the thing I'm talking about really is really a clever scam, because you personally don't think you're getting charged. What they do is they bill you for the COVID-19 self-diagnostic stuff. They then charge Medicare $120, and Medicare reimburses them $94. You'll find that on your quarterly slip. But because it doesn't affect you personally, a lot of people just say, well, what the heck? Well, I can't imagine how many millions of dollars they're getting if there's a bunch of us that they've gotten. I gotta believe that nationally, this agency really would like the information. So I'm gonna try and figure out how I can get it all in one packet so that they have it.
Thanks, Chuck. No.
Jane?
Okay.
Jane, you're okay.
Yeah, you addressed the installation of the new security system, I believe, in the apartments. Is there any installation date for the villas at this time?
By security system, do you mean the K4 resident check-in system?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I do know that there's a number of South villas and a handful of other villas that have opted in, and those are those remaining installations that I talked about for Darren, and Darren has a hired assistant to help him complete those installations. He's currently on campus with Darren as we speak, so those should be coming. Because that's the last piece of the puzzle, plus additional signups that we're looking for and encouraging so that we can go live with K4.
I'd like to talk to you and Tim from Culinary about the coffee machines that we have in the lobby here at West and the coffee machine that is in the cafe here at West. Now, when I go to a car repair place, a dealership, I get real nervous about what my bill's going to be. And they have a coffee machine, terrible tasting machine. When I go to the hospital for a friend or relative in a waiting room, I get real nervous. They have a real nasty tasting coffee machine. I'm wondering why we have those coffee machines here. I'm not supposed to be nervous when I go for coffee.
Well, Jerry, the short answer to that is I drank the coffee too. I don't think it's so nasty. Well,
You come and meet with the 6 or 7 of us and sit there in the morning, and you'll find that none of us want that coffee.
okay, well, my apologies for that. But in regards to the machines, I'll defer to Tim on that.
Part of the original installation of the coffee machine in the lobby was so that it's available all the time.
24/7.
You know, you and the group that sit there very early, we don't have someone on staff here that early to put coffee out. So that's really the main reason that it was initially put in. Overall, the response has been fine. You know, we've never taken a survey or anything like that, but I've heard it from a few different people. I personally don't mind it. I drink it all the time, and so do a lot of us. So that's kind of how it all started. But we'll look into it.
So, yeah, I'm just curious, is it a different coffee or
No,
is it the same coffee?
It's the same coffee. It just comes in a different form. I mean, it's still Folgers coffee. That is the same as the coffee that we use and we were brewing and we still brew for the dining room. But it's just a more convenient way for us to get it to you at all the time.
That's my point.
Okay.
That's my point. It's more convenient for you and your staff.
Well, and also, like I mentioned, it's convenient for you to be, it's available 24 hours a day when we don't have staff here.
We've always been willing to wait for the servers to come in and make the brewed coffee and just, we didn't ask for it, real early, but we were really happy with it. And then we bring these machines in and nobody wants it.
Is that the consensus of the room, that nobody wants it? Because if that. Okay, well, we can discuss it more to see what we can do.
I'm going to move on if I may. I've got 2 questions. Probably one has a very obvious answer, which is, are regular inspections given to the parking carports in terms of what we learned about H Building's parking area? I mean, because in Florida, we know lately we've had lots of rain. I would think most anything would be severely stressed by some of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just curious as to whether that's
In
a
regards to
regular.
the infrastructure IRE, annually, they do inspections of all infrastructure here at IRE. With that being said, they don't usually do anything invasive like cut into the carports like we did this time. Also, H building was constructed at a different time than the other carports, but as a result of this, there will be, further inspections of all the carports around campus, the covered parking, so.
And then my second item is actually a thank you to Enrique, who I met recently because I love gardening. And I happened to be out doing a little trimming in my large front yard at I Building. And he stopped by to say thank you and to introduce himself. And I was ever so grateful because when I look around Indian River Estates, and I think someone informed me there are over 200 acres that need care here. It's huge. And I realized that, again, with Florida weather being what it is, vines will take over in a heartbeat. So when I'm walking, if I can reach out and grab a vine and pull it off to keep it from strangling something, I am happy to do that. But I really wanted to say thank you to Enrique and his whole team. I've met a number of them just walking around campus, and they are delightful, helpful human beings. So I'm grateful.
Well,
to have them.
Enrique is in the room, so thank you, Enrique. All right, if we have no more questions, I'm not going to be the woman that stands up. He's the one that's standing between you and lunch.
Are there any plans for room I-205? It used to be a fitness room, and now it's vacant. It's been vacant for a long time.
Yes, there is plans for it.
What are they?
She said soon. All right, I think that's it. Enjoy your afternoon. Thank you so much for coming. I have to put my shoes back on. Oh, wait, let me.